Hello everyone and welcome to another installment of Shower Thoughts, the budget commander series that proves magic isn't pay to win. Today we're going to take a look at 5 commanders from Wilds of Eldraine that are cheap and powerful. If you could please take a second to give this video a like, it really helps out the channel. And check out the pinned comment down below to vote for the next $50 deck tech. Alright, without further ado, let's get into it. First on our list is Eriette of the Charmed Apple. Political control is an archetype that is unique to Commander. Instead of playing Counterspell or Anguish on making to control the board, you control the other players. And I don't mean to blackmail or threaten them, simply entice them to do what you'd like. Maybe you'll remove a problematic permanent for them, or give them some card draw if they're behind. And she does just that, but much like the Monkey's Paw, the deal isn't always what it seems. If you want to try a more unique build for this commander, give Orzhov's Super Friends a try. Her ability is great at protecting your planeswalkers from big creatures, and you can easily create a token army with the now budget Elspeth Sun's Champion. I'm not sure how powerful this team would actually be, given the lack of planeswalkers in these colors that actually care about enchantments, but it could be fun. Key budget cards to include would be Hateful Eidolon, Parasitic Impetus, Martial Impetus, Nurgle's Rot, and Spirit Link. Next on my list is Rowan, Scion of War. Now, Rowan's ability wants you to lose as much life as possible to ramp into massive spells. She reminds me of Rakdos, Lord of Riots, but isn't restricted to only creature spells and you have to lose the life. There are some great non-budget options for life loss such as the One Ring, Treasonous Ogre, and Necropotence, but we're a budget series here, so throw those cards out the window. Instead, let's play Wall of Blood, Blood Celebrant, and Immolating Soul Eater to lose a bunch of life. Regardless how expensive a card is, the deck will win the same way by casting a giant Exsanguinate or Fireball. Or if you want to be extra mean, you could play cards like Soul Conduit or Profane Transfusion to swap life totals with the Will player. Key budget cards to include for Rowan would be Greed, Defiler of Flesh, Defiler of Instinct, Soul Drinker, and Mischievous Poltergeist. Next is Will, Scion of Peace. Unlike Rowan, Will wants us to gain life to reduce the cost of spells, but because his ability is restricted to our turn, we need ways to gain a chunk of life all at once. The Soul Sister package is great for slow life gain throughout the course of the game, but that's not quite what we're looking for here. Instead, we'll want to play those awful white spells that just gain us life. You know the ones. They're the ones that you saw when you first started playing Magic and thought they were so powerful. I'm talking about cards like Healing Salve, Revitalize, and Rest for the Weary. Winning with the Will be the same as Rowan, kind of. I would include Blue Sun Zenith, Storm Herd, or if you want to be really spicy, you can try Eternal Dominion. Key budget cards to include for Will would be Cleric Class, Sphinx's Revelation, Drogskull Reaver, Approach of the Second Sun, and Sanguine Sacrament. Fourth on my list is Sir Ginger the Mealender. Every few sets there is a card that encapsulates an entire set's flavor and theme, and in Wilds of Eldraine, Sir Ginger the Mealender is exactly that. Both the art and the mechanics of Ginger make this my favorite colorless commander. While she might not be the strongest colorless commander ever printed, she can still be an absolute powerhouse even on a budget. It won't take much to turn this small cookie knight into something fierce enough to slay the biggest of dragons. There are a ton of artifacts that want to be sacrificed, from Wayfarer's Bauble to the New Limbus. And if you feel so inclined, you could add Mirror Retriever and Scrap Trawler to recur your artifacts. I'd highly recommend including all the creatures you can with Modular. While Arcbound Ravager might be out of the budget, there are still 12 creatures in total you can add to this list. And finally, Sir Ginger doesn't specify non-token artifacts, so if you can play any artifacts that produce tokens when sacrificed or when they enter, those would be great includes. Some key budget cards to include here would be Workshop Assistant, Extruder, Wedding Invitation, Prized Statue, and Throne of Geth. And the last commander on this list is Beluna Grandsquall.
We're going on an adventure, Charlie!
When the first Throne of Eldraine set was released back in 2019, we were introduced to the Adventure card type. An Adventure deck quickly took over Standard, but there weren't enough cards to build a dedicated Commander deck. Then we got Commander Legends Battles for Baldur's Gate, which gave us 28 more adventures, along with Gorian Wise Mentor. And finally, Wilds of Eldraine introduced us to a staggering 51 new adventures, including multicolored ones. And we got Beluna as our second adventure commander. Now we have to pick the best adventures of the 61 Intimer colors. The 3 that should be auto-includes are Bonecrusher Giant, Beanstalk Giant, and Monster Manual. Next, I want to look at the big adventure permanents since Beluna reduces their cost by 1 generic mana. A few notable adventures I'm excited to play are Tinkali Hunter, Ithilid Harvester, and Sword Coast Serpent. Now in the past 2 years, we've received support for casting cards from exile. This is thanks to sets like Kaldheim, and commanders like Prosper Tomebound and Faldorn Dreadwolf Herald, and adventure decks can take advantage of these new toys. We can reduce the cost of spells further with Sage of the Beyond, or give our adventures Cascade with Wild Mage Sorcerer. Key budget cards to include would be Lucky Clover, Lawson Dragon's Legacy, Crystal Shard, Nalfeshin, and Storyteller Pixie. And finally, let's talk about some of the honorable mentions. These commanders didn't quite make the list, but still deserve attention. Imodane the Pyrohammer gave me Zada vibes from the second I saw them. My friend is putting them in his Inktreader Nephilim deck, and I can't wait to see what Wilds interaction happen. Hilda of the Icy Crown is next, and is being built by someone in my playgroup, and I'm excited to see what this commander can really do. However, I think her abilities are too narrow and really depend on your playgroup's meta. Agatha of the Vile Cauldron is an interesting Gruul commander, but I wasn't excited to build around her. She seems like a powerful but fragile combo commander who's going to be too weak for high power tables, but too good for low power ones. Bernard Ginger Sculptor is the Golem commander we've all wanted, but he also feels like he could be a weird Bant sacrifice deck, or a Sliver commander. Speaking of Sliver commanders, check out my latest video where I discuss non-Sliver Sliver commanders. And finally, Corvold Gleeful Glutton, which feels like a Jund Babala saga. I think this commander is going to be interesting, but is too expensive at the time of recording.